Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the Madison Township Board of Trustees August 16th, 2017 meeting at 6 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dillon?
Here.
Trustee Payne?
Here.
Trustee Kirschner?
Here. We stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll have the board presentations. The police chief and Captain Dean. Ready?
Yes, sir. Technical difficulties? All right.
You want to do a little poetry while we're waiting?
Yeah, I can sing or something. Ready?
It's what, Chief?
A video. I'm Warren Madison, founding director of Madison Military Museum. We were founded in 1989 as a tactical educational organization, and our next phase.
John here, dude.
Full screen.
John's here.
I see him. It should be showing up there first, wouldn't it?
Ready to talk.
Yeah, so I think that's what all these are.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's my guess.
Thank goodness I'm not the guy at the computer right now. Thank goodness I'm not the guy at the computer right now.
Got the horse, he'll get a different place.
She's running for the hills.
Yeah, see as smart as you got. Johnny did too big, you better get for helping out, man.
3 is the critical, man.
How about if I start reading first, Chief, and then we'll go into that? Sound good? Good use of time? Madison Township Board of Trustees, dignitaries and citizens of Madison Township. It is of our privilege to recognize a staple member of our community, Warren Motz. Warren Motz is the director of Motz Military Museum. To give an idea of how dedicated Warren Motz is to this community, he was born in Bryce, Ohio, and raised in Groveport. He is a Groveport Madison High School graduate, an Ohio National Guard. He achieved the rank of E6 Staff Sergeant. He has been a volunteer firefighter with Truro Township Fire Department and a professional photographer of Central Ohio. To go through the list of Mr. Motz's accomplishments would take quite a long time, and it would never give justice to his achievements. He's a professional and an achiever above and beyond. This police department and the citizens of Madison Township have a lot of respect for Mr. Motz. Mr. Motz is on the Veterans Advisory Board.
The founding director of Walsh Military Museum. We were founded in 1989.
There we go, watch the video. I'll finish. That's good, yeah.
Educational organization, and our next phase of the operation is to expand into a new building. We are going to build a building to house the 9/11 artifacts that we have acquired from Ground Zero during that attack. This fire truck, this great piece of history, is from Ladder 18 Fort Pitt Fire Station in Lower Manhattan. This fire truck rolled in during the 9/11 attack, parked under the next to the North Tower, and they were in rescuing people from the tower itself. They got a command post headquarters on the 5th floor, and they were bringing people down. Finally, the commander ordered everybody out of the building. They came down. The driver of this truck went and sat on the back of the fire truck, pouring water over his head. He said, "I got this weird feeling." I jumped up and said, "Let's get out of here." And the entire North Tower collapsed on top of this truck. Yours here, fantastic piece of history that was saved from the rubbish of the 9/11 attack. We also have, and I wanted to show you the two police cars, because these are pretty fabulous things. We have a lot of other items to go, but as you can see, it was another one of the police automobile. It was one of the first responders there. As you can see, it was at the base of the tower and the glass on top of it. It also was brought back during the first anniversary of 9/11 and used to represent what was the terrorist attack at that time. This is a Suburban. It came from the governor's office. It also was there during the attack and also brought back for the first anniversary of 9/11. And you can see by the damage as they recovered it, what a horrible thing it was that particular day in history. Here on the Walsh Military Museum campus, we have lots of different things. We cover all the wars America's been involved in. We go from the Indian Wars right up to Iraqi freedom. We've got special exhibits throughout the building on various things, including women in the military, a magic exhibit, a chaplain's exhibit, 82nd Airborne, and it covers all the wars we've been involved in. But we cover everything. We've got helicopters, tanks, and all kinds of other equipment outside as well. And a replica of Rickenbacker's building home is also here, with the Rickenbacker's original items inside it. This building that we're building for the 9/11 stuff will be an extension of that, which started our war on terrorism. Some of the things we have that will be housed in this building for history's sake. We have a piece of the antenna off the North Tower, a 17-foot section of that. We have a piece of the stairway from the North Tower. We have the marble flooring and the walls from the North Tower, and it will be on display in that building. And when you go into the building, you'll be walking on the floor of the World Trade Center as you go in to see this fire. So there's a lot we have there, and we are preserving history, and this is just one more link preserving the history of this great country of ours. This is the second biggest collection outside Ground Zero. This is the record of the building in which this fire truck and the two police cars and the other artifacts from 9/11 are going to go into. I come out here and look at this stuff and I think all the men are connected and women with all these items.
And so in this corner of Gulfport, there is Mott's Lotto.
Every day here is Veterans Day.
The reason Warren Mott's is driven to show all the life amid the tools of death.
We don't like wars, horrible stuff, but without our men and women fighting, we wouldn't be free.
Mott's Military Museum is never looking at Gulfport, and he's got a new space exhibit down there now. I got a massive exhibit. You just can't imagine. There's a tire from the space shuttle. And watches worn by the astronauts in all their clubs. It's just unbelievable.
That's amazing. It's just right here in our backyard.
It is a jewel of our area, and I urge anybody that's at least been interested in memorabilia, so the military memorabilia and veterans to pay a visit.
Absolutely. Maybe this
Time to check it out.
Pretty much, yeah. You'll be let around usually by somebody who had 30 missions in the bomber in World War II, or somebody that jumped out of an aircraft on D-Day, or something. Those are the kinds of guys that work there.
Yeah, if you're just caught the end of that, look up on Facebook or Twitter, because we were talking about this when you went to go shoot it the week before. Find out some information about it. It's awesome. It's an incredible story.
Yes.
Fantastic. I'd like to mention Mr. Motz is married to Daisy. Since 1962, he has two children, Wayne and Lori, and is a very proud family man that I have a great amount of respect for that accomplishment as well, sir. Mr. Motz speaks at groups all over the country, telling the museum's goal to honor the courageous men and women that have served and continue to serve to preserve and protect our freedom. A very important part of Mr. Mott's accomplishments that I found very interesting, he was awarded the Outstanding Citizens Award in Madison Township by the Police Department in 1982. He's an honorary deputy sheriff with Clark County, Indiana, and an honorary police officer with the Hill Street Precinct from the Hill Street Blues TV show, those of you that remember that show. So the chief and I would like to take this time to recognize Mr. Motts and present him with an honorary officer of Madison Township Police Department. Chief?
This is order of appointment, be it known to all that Warren E. Motts is hereby appointed as an honorary police officer for his dedication, achievement, service, and unfailing devotion to Madison Township Police Department. The position is given in recognition and appreciation for his true and loyal relationship exemplified by his genuine concern for all, who has truly lived up to his principles by supporting the community, fellow citizens, veterans, and first responders. Therefore, it is with extreme gratitude and distinct pleasure that we honor you with the position for all your hard work and vigorous support you have shown over the years. So we thank you.
Thank you. I'm touched. I had no idea how humbled at this award. This means a great deal to me. My dad was a Special Franklin County Deputy Sheriff in the 1950s, so I've been raised with a police family. And my wife would have been here with my daughter, but my wife was undergoing treatment since she's at the hospital and on the way back home, but they didn't make it back in time. So they wanted to express the fact that I had no idea what was going to happen here. They said that my daughter said we're going to give you some kind of award, but this is very special. I really appreciate it. I've always had a very close place in my heart for the police officers and the firemen in this community, and every community, because they're the ones that's taking care of us and keeping us good. I keep trying to explain to people they're the only thing that's between us and anarchy. These are the ones that are doing it. They put their life on the line every day, and we appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Warren has also sat on our panel for promotion, so he's done a few things for us. We appreciate it.
So anything I can do anytime.
You're a member of the family now, sir?
Well, I appreciate that. That touches me. I thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry, man. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. You know that. Appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda, please, would be a gentleman from Swaco, Waste Management Plan, Kyle O'Keefe.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me here tonight, trustee members, members of the community. I'm Kyle O'Keefe, Director of Innovation and Programs for Swaco. Unfortunately, my presentation will not live up to that last one, so don't expect that. But I'm here to talk about your other favorite subject, solid waste and recycling. I know that's all on your minds. And actually, the reason why Susan has invited me here tonight is to talk about our solid waste management plan. As a solid waste authority, we're one of 52 solid waste districts in the state of Ohio, and every 5 years or so we have to revise the types of activities that we do with the community to encourage waste reduction and recycling. In fact, actually, over 1 million tons annually is disposed of in a landfill by Franklin County citizens and residents and businesses. That's a lot of material, and a lot of that material can be kept out of the landfill, used here locally to create jobs, to help to preserve our environment and our resources, and a number of these programs are put in place to help achieve those goals. In fact, some of the programs in the place, we actually work with Susan and your administration as a part of one of our community consortiums. So we actually provide assistance to all of you to help to bid out your waste and recycling contracts that help you to get the best and lowest bids for your community members. So that's a type of activity that's included in this plan. Other things that we've got included in this plan too include working with local events. So if you have events in your community, we've got resources to help you implement waste reduction and recycling activities. There's also grants that are included as well. In fact, one of the big initiatives that we'll be doing next year is around education and outreach. That's a great opportunity for everybody. If I ask you today, what's recyclable? you might get a bunch of different answers. Part of our goal is to help you understand what you can recycle, how you can reduce waste, and we'll actually be launching a large campaign next year to help encourage that. So those are examples of what are included in the plan. And ultimately, we ask the communities to vote on the plan. So we ask all of our 41 communities in Franklin County to pass a resolution either in favor or against the plan to help move it forward. But really, I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the plan process. We've also brought some leave-behinds with information about the plan and some of the programs that we provide as well. Also just note in respect to the officers, and we actually have a whole program. We work with the Franklin County Sheriff's Department on enforcing illegal dumping and littering. So if you have illegal dumping taking place in your community, if there's somebody dumping piles of trash or littering in your community, we have a program, a hotline that residents can call, and we have sheriffs that come out and will investigate that, and we work with the prosecutors and everybody else too. So all that information is included on our website and more, things that we offer through this plan to help our communities. Can I answer any questions anyone might have about the plan, or?
Just questions about, we do an annual tire drive and, pulling tires out of creeks.
Absolutely.
Does this plan change any involvement in that activity?
It does not. In fact, tires are called out as something we want to actually improve. One of the things that we're working on right now is actually with our Community Cleanup Fund Committee. This is a committee actually in connection with that past program I just mentioned about the dumping. And so whenever we prosecute cases, we create a pool of funds, and we use those funds specifically to help initiatives with cleanups and tire drives as well. So all those things might evolve. Our goal is actually to improve that in the process.
Okay. I think we'd be interested in learning more.
Correct?
No. In the past, we have done the tire drive when they offered the partnership. Because they are changing things, they're not offering that this year. However, I will say that they have been generous enough at SWACO that they are helping us with our flyer to get that set up, and then we should have that here in another week or so, now that we have the date set.
But as a stopgap, can we just drop our tires from this drive off at your place, just this one time?
But actually, in fact, today was a great point. We met with that Cleanup Fund Committee this morning, actually, and so that program, there should be an offering available, and we'll work with you guys to make sure that is in place.
We're utilizing the program that the Board of Health has through the reimbursement piece, and then we're working with Liberty Tire.
And so it's basically the same sort of program, the $500 reimbursement for that program. So, but yes, absolutely. So we're dedicated to working with you, and we understand that tires are an issue not only in this community but in all communities in Franklin County. So again, that is actually one of the things that's called out in here specifically that we'll be dedicating time and resources to.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we're getting 500 this year from SWACO?
No, it does not come from SWACO. What happens is it's a reimbursement program, so that, yes, we are getting $500. After we pay the bill, then we send all of our proof to the county public health department, and then they will issue us a check for the $500 reimbursement.
All right, but that is different from previous years and that?
Well, that piece is the same as previous years. Previous years with SWACO, they have actually had roll-off containers that they were able to bring out to us, and then they would deliver them, and then they would pick them up and take them up to Liberty at no charge.
I see.
That is the component of that has changed, but Liberty has picked up that component. However, it is not free.
I see.
So that's where the change comes into play.
But I think with that reimbursement too does include transportation.
Yes, you can't include their fee for up to the $500. But there still will be some outlay that the township will have that will not be reimbursable.
About how much?
I'm anticipating about $400. It really depends on how many tires we actually collect, but based on the last couple years, I would say no more than $400.
Okay.
And that is a program that's available twice a year too, so if you plan it 2 times a year, maybe it will help to reduce the amount of tires being generated too. And again, we're happy to work with you on that.
We haven't been doing it twice, have we?
We have not. We've just done it before. Over the last 4 years, I think we've done it once in the fall, once in the summer, or early summer, and then once in the spring. And this year, we, with the change in positions here, we're doing it in September.
And is that something where we have any apparatus like Public Works, and
Public Works crew.
dump truck or something like that, where we could actually transfer?
Well, actually, there's some other programs that I had been pursuing that may have been a component of them. Unfortunately, the person that was overseeing that program left the agency, and so it left a void, and we had to make a decision. We were either going to do the tire drive through Liberty, or we weren't going to do the tire drive. And so that's something that we'll look into that program for next
No,
year.
yeah, I just meant as far as moving product from the site to Liberty, I didn't know if that was something where we had...
Well, we would not have the vehicle space to do that all within one load for each vehicle. Right, we have collected far more tires than that, and so then we would have to let them sit, and the guys would have to come back. So
Yeah, I understand.
for the time being, this was a little bit better option for us.
But did I hear that right? You can apply for it twice a year?
Yes, that's correct.
You can have a tire drive twice a year and then apply for the grant twice a year.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a number of other grants too that we have offered too, so those are on our website. Also, that material is in some of these leave-behinds too, so if you have questions, there's other ways that you want to improve recycling in your community, those are great opportunities, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, next, please, would be public input. Reese Kenny, please, first.
Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank Trustee Kirschner for taking time out of his busy schedule to come and speak with us at our last Block Watch meeting. It was very well attended, and we had a really good crowd and he spoke with us regarding security cameras and how hopefully eventually we can get it tied into possibly a neighborhood type system. So thanks again for that, Trustee Kirschner. The topic I wanted to speak on today is actually special meetings. There seems to be an influx of a whole lot of special meetings lately compared to in the past. It seems like we're having the regular meeting, and then we're having a special meeting, and then a regular meeting and a special meeting. It just seems like there's one in between each month. And what I wanted to bring up about the special meetings is that it appears to several of us that there is general topic information that's being discussed at these special meetings. And the special meetings are designed for an emergency situation or a deadline situation where it's just imperative that the trustees meet and decide on something. And the last special meeting, just a couple examples, the Durapatch was discussed, as well as approving a towing company. And the fact about the special meeting is that there is absolutely no public input allowed, or so we've been told. And I'm wondering why we're discussing general topic information that could have waited until this meeting at special meetings. That was my first question. Again, with no public input permitted. The other thing I'd like to bring up regarding a special meeting is where in the law does it say that there is no public input in a special meeting? I have read and researched, and I can't find it said. Is that just a rule that you all have made up for special meetings when it's a tax? In other words, the tax dollars are our tax dollars are being spent at these special meetings for general topics such as the Durapatch and the towing, and it's our tax dollars, and we're not allowed to speak. And that just seems absolutely unfair. So I'm trying to find and ask you, where is it written? Where is it law? Where is it said that there's no input, public input at special meetings?
Reese, I think that was just decided by the board, not by this board, just by all the boards prior to us, and it had just carried on. And so I can't tell you if there's a ruling.
Okay.
But I do know prior to us, the same analogy was put out, so.
Is that going to be an ongoing thing where there's absolutely no public input at a special meeting?
Can I address this, sir?
Oh, please.
Well, let me back up a little bit. First, my understanding from the prosecutor is we do not have to allow public comment, excuse me, at a special meeting. It has been past practice that we do not allow comments at special meetings. As you know, we have had a lot of special meetings this year, primarily to deal with the fire station, and the board has allowed questions during those meetings. What you're referring to from the last meeting on the Durapatch, and
that's just a couple examples.
okay,
Susan.
but I'm
Yeah.
going to answer those questions. The Durapatch machine, we had a specific machine. Actually, Trustee Kirshner had found it. It was on a GovDeals website, and the bid deadline was that evening, Monday evening. So we did have a deadline. We had to know from the board, were they interested and going to allow us to put in a bid, or did they not want to do that? When we first set the special meeting and listed the items, that's why that was included, because we had a Monday evening, 9 p.m. deadline, so we met Monday morning. As we got closer to that, after we had advertised what our reasons were for having the meeting, because as you know, we have to do that. We can only have specific, a meeting to discuss, and it has to list the items that we're going to discuss. We found out that we weren't as far along in part of that process as what we had hoped to be, because we didn't get any feedback from Madison Township, which we were talking to them about partnering with that. So therefore, that's why that was on there. We didn't have the information that the board had preferred we have, so they decided not to go forward with that. But that's why that was a deadline. And as I mentioned at that meeting, the reason the tow contract was on there, and we didn't wait until December when we do our normal renewals, is that the chief was having trouble with the two tow companies we have having so much business that they weren't able to get out in a timely fashion, and that was creating problems for the police department to get the road cleared off safely. And so we had asked the board to approve that contract just until the end of the year, just like the other ones are, and he'll come back then, and I'm assuming have 3, but whatever he has, then we'll go through that process just like we normally would for the whole entire next year. But that's why that was not held until a special meeting. He had requested that he be able to get them up and running as soon as possible. Had we not had the special meeting already planned, we certainly wouldn't have called a special meeting for that one item. However, it was something that was going to be able to benefit him, and he really, needed that to be in place. I believe you're aware that tonight we do have on the discussion later on regarding comments at public meetings, and that includes both special and regular meetings. So I assume the board will be discussing that, whether they'll make a decision tonight, but I know that there has been some concern. But again, we recognize the fact that we have had a lot of special meetings, and the majority of those have been centered around Station 183. We don't normally have that many special meetings. It's not our intention to continue with special meetings. That just creates a lot more work for everybody, but we have just had the need to, continually have those between the questions and the deadlines, and to try to keep things moving. So hopefully that gives you some insight. But to answer your question, I am not aware that there is any place that says you cannot allow the public to speak at a special meeting. What we have always been told is you do not have to allow it, and therefore we have tried to stick with that through the previous boards and this board. I'll share some information that I've received from other townships and that when we cover this under the other business.
Okay, I would like to suggest then that you consider allowing public input at special meetings. I don't even know how else to phrase this, but that kind of seems like dirty pool to me, for lack of a better term. We're here at these meetings. We come here so that we can learn, and we feel and would like to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the public and the taxpayer. So I thank you for your explanation, Susan, and thanks, panel. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Dan, do you and your wife want to go up there together since you both got it? Sure. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, it's Dan Clark. And his wife, Ellen, sorry.
Good afternoon. I went through all 12 years of high school, grade school, through the Groveport-Madison School District. Me and my wife have been residents on Harbor Boulevard for over 20 years. As a matter of fact, this is the first time my wife has been back after getting married right there in front of us over 20 years ago, right here in this building. As concerned citizens, I have reached out to many of the people I see here in front of me about the speeding on Harbor Boulevard of the school buses. Okay? I have focused on the school buses because those are the transportation of our children, grandchildren, and other people. Okay? It kind of boils down to, at what point do we allow this speeding down Harbor Boulevard? I believe you made an effort today, and you did put one of those radar trailers out.
Yes.
I appreciate that effort.
Let me give you some stats on that. That speed trailer actually will calculate speeds the whole time that it's out there.
Sure.
And the average speed it was about 1,167 cars. The average speed was 26.1. The average over was 29.3. I mean, that's not to say that, the times you're saying, if it was from 6 to whatever, we didn't get it out there that day till 10 o'clock. But, we'll keep monitoring. I know we had a staff meeting today, and I've instructed the sergeants when we have that trailer that we need enforcement right after that. So, and I think in the past, you've talked to John Hurd from the school, right? I think that was earlier this year.
Correct. I've written letters.
We've emailed back and forth, and then I
Yes.
think we've had,
And I've
Yes.
talked to John.
And this goes back from April of last year.
Yeah. And I've talked to John, and, that was something that, because the buses, they're not Groveport
Correct?
buses, so,
It starts with a P, right?
yeah, Peterman.
Yes,
So,
Peterman.
and I still need to check, but I could have swore he told me that there's GPS systems on those buses that show.
As a matter of fact, I do have documentation that
Yeah.
they say they can monitor speeds.
Correct.
I've done time versus speed, and they're still speeding.
So, I mean, if you've got a bus number and a time that went by, they should be able to find out if that bus driver's
That is 100%.
violation, so.
As
And other cars too, since Chatterton opened, it's like, we're not in the speedway. We need 25 miles an hour to go up and down that road.
I'm not saying they don't speed there. I mean, I'll tell you, the maximum speed that we had on that road was 63 mile an hour.
Say that again?
I mean,
63 miles an hour, 63?
and, the old speed trailer we had, it didn't have a limit set on it, so people could actually speed up just to see how fast they could go. Well, this one here, we can set it to where it's only 2 mile an hour past the speed limit, and that's all they're going to get. So anybody that was doing this, I would hope that even an emergency vehicle wasn't doing 63 mile an hour, but, I can't explain that one, so.
They're okay, but these cars are ridiculous. I think it's just not right.
well, it's the bus is the main concern.
Yeah.
But it was addressed today in our staff meeting, and we'll get some
I
attention
truly
on that.
appreciate that.
Okay.
What does that mean, Chief, addressed in your staff meeting? You're going to have somebody sitting there in addition to the trailer? What is?
So the trailer, the way it should be worked, the trailer should be set out, and then after that, that's when we should have the enforcement, where the cars are out actually writing the tickets after that. You were given your warning, this is set out here, slow it down, and after that, it should be enforced.
Okay,
that's
so
what
from a
we're-
timeline perspective, how long is that going to be out, and when will the enforcement begin?
Tomorrow. And
That'll be out tomorrow?
Well, the trailer's always out, but not in the same spot.
I get it.
Once we get the stats, then
When can they expect to see more of your guys writing tickets on?
That's what I said tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I've told them.
And it should be pretty predictable, correct?
Right.
The timing of this should be predictable.
As a request, and I don't think it's a bad request, in the past, we've had to stopwatch these people. I went from point A to point B doing 25 mile an hour and took a time, okay, using a stopwatch. I've clocked these buses with a stopwatch. Would you say that's a valid way of saying if there's grossly neglecting the speed?
I mean, that's what they do in an airplane. I mean, unless you're actually certified.
It's math. But I know you're going to go forward with efforts, okay? If you would like school bus numbers,
Certainly.
we can also actually move it, and I'm sure my wife is willing to sit on the porch and take those numbers of those school buses that are exceeding the speed as per your trailer.
It's hard to do during the school zones because usually during that time, the cars are sitting either at one of the elementary schools during the school zone traffic. So, you know, it kind of spreads us thin to sit somewhere and run radar outside the crosswalks and everything else. I mean, we've always taken care of the schools during the morning, so, but it will be done right after that because those buses run continually after that, so.
And one thing, we do live on Harbor, so that is one of our concerns, but it's about the actual kids, okay? I was going down Low Bixby doing 35 mile an hour, the posted speed limit, and when she drew this to my attention, you know, I'm going, okay. And I'm 35 mile an hour, and a bus full of kids comes flying up behind me. Now, I can't gauge the speed, but I know it's more than 35, okay? This is my concern. This is our kids out there. It's almost reckless endangerment.
I mean, I've had people pass me in my own personal car on Harbor.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about.
All right, I thank you. Would you like to?
Thank you.
Would you like to see these emails or use them for documentation?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Clerk.
Thank you.
Next, please, will be Wayne Bryan, please.
Thank you. Actually, I've got to add one more thing if I could when I'm done, but my first question is with Public Works. You guys were out mowing today, and my neighbor a few doors down came up to talk to a couple of your guys about down the road on Newport, there's a bunch of brush that's overgrown on the sidewalks, and when the kids are walking to the school, either the middle school or the elementary school down Newport, they have to walk out and either onto the grass or into the road. And the guy said, well, you have to call the administration office. There's nothing we can do. And he asked, well, why can't you let your boss know something needs to be done about it? And they said, well, that's just the way it is. You have to call in. And they were really rude, and that's just no way for anybody to talk to any resident of the township. And it makes no sense to me. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you, sir. And then my next part, and Susan, you said...
Where did you say the brush was at?
Down on Newport Road, at the end, the last house as you go around the corner where it dead ends.
Okay.
And if you're coming out of the court at the stop sign there, you have to be able to see it. Because it's completely grown over and it's grown over the sidewalk. And then you said something about you were going to address something about public input at the meetings. I know you guys have public input first thing at the meeting, like right now, and then later on in the meeting you guys are going to go over a bunch of stuff where you want to do different things, and the public has no idea what you're going to do because everything's on the board. You don't give out any handouts to us, and nobody knows what's going on at the meeting until you change the screen as far as what the different resolutions are for the meeting tonight.
Okay.
Nobody has any idea.
Well, going paperless on the agendas was about probably an 18-month, 2-year ago decision. Am I right, Chief? About that time frame, maybe, that the board decided that we would try that. So if the people attending don't feel that that's a good thing, then the board can review that, and you know, we can determine if we need to go back to printing agendas.
But do you understand the point I'm making? To where if you're supposed to have public input, there is no public input on what's going to happen at this meeting tonight because the public input is before anything else is even discussed at this meeting.
Well,
Yeah, we used to have the agendas back there, and at the end of the meeting, we'd pick them all up because people wouldn't pick them up. And then we had public input at the end of the meeting, and nobody would stay because sometimes these meetings run till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So we'd come out of executive session, we tried it before executive session, I think, and after executive session, it just got to be late nights. So out of respect to the residents, we moved it up so everybody would have a chance to do their piece, say their piece before we got into the resolution piece, and then they could leave. So that's why.
Nothing's perfect, everything's a work in progress, and I
Right,
understand
so-
that. Well, I mean, is there any way then, the people that you email the meetings, that you could email an agenda to, or even a few days before the meeting, or when is the agenda set for what's going to happen at the meetings?
the agenda may be ready at 3 in the afternoon. It may not be ready until 4:45. We prefer earlier, obviously, which would normally be by 2 o'clock that we would have the agenda ready to go. We do not email agendas out other than if someone calls in and asks for it, which is usually the few times we've done it that day. When we send out the emails you're referring to, it's in regards to being notified for a special meeting, or we have a couple people that have requested that we make phone calls to. That is just the notice for the meeting itself. But because the special meeting notice has to tell you what we are talking about, it does give you some insight into what's happening. That would not necessarily be the case unless we did send out the agenda, that you would know what's going on.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, you said you guys quit printing them because of the cost factor, and I was just thinking that would be a way to cut down on cost factor. You're not wasting paper by printing an agenda.
Right. That's something that, the board can discuss, how, as we get down into the new business, which is where we were going to talk about public comment and things, what they'd like to try, and we can, try it out a few months at a time and see how things need to be tweaked from there. I do want to piggyback on Trustee Piney's comment, though, that he is correct. We did start out with the public comments towards the end of the meeting, and we have repeatedly moved them up until we have gotten public input right after we do our presentations. I understand what you're saying, but the reason that we continued to move that up is because we did have people that repeatedly were coming to express a concern specifically about something, and by not being able to get in and get out, they left more frustrated than when they came, if they had to wait until after, new and old business and then, anything further. So I think some of our ideas will come out tonight when we talk about, the additional questions through the meetings and what to do.
Most of the time, too, they surprisingly weren't about agenda items.
So basically, I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, so like you just said, it's not really about the agenda items, it's about public input from the township, what's going on out in the community.
It would be, somebody would come in and they'd have a comment about cutting grass on, I forget the name of the road you mentioned there, Newport, which isn't an agenda item. So if you're not going to comment on the agenda item, it seemed to make sense to move the public input to the front so folks could leave. So that's really the...
Okay, it just seems like that when you guys are passing resolutions to buy different things, the public has no say in anything, and I understand you guys are voted in to make basically make these decisions by the people, for the people, but it's like they have no say in what you do.
Right. And we respect your input, and I think you'll find that when we move to the new business part of that, we've had some internal staff discussions on some ways that we might be able to improve some of that we'll share with the board here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please, old business. John, Susan, Dave, who wants to do this? You've all three been on it.
Well, I think we'll let the Public Works Superintendent start, and then we'll see what else we need to add from there.
Okay, going with the dirt patcher, there was a couple that we were looking at, but I think at the moment, I think I'm just going to table the issue until we're probably better prepared financially to take care of this. Hampton Township, they're basically in the same boat we are. They don't have any money really to put out right now, so
Okay, you did hear back from them? From Don?
I haven't heard from Han, but from their, Don Smith. Yeah. So,
What have you heard about the long-term maintenance, cleanup, that kind of thing? Because they have heard some comments from users that there's certainly some municipalities that buy it and then end up feeling like whatever they're gaining in personal efficiency running the machine, they might be losing it on maintenance and cleanup. So do you have any feelings or feedback or knowledge on that firsthand?
the cleanup is no different than any other emulsion tank tar kettle that you use. The biggest thing is just the manpower you need to run it. I mean, basically, you could send 3 people out to patch ribs versus doing just with our tar kettle. We should have 5 people running that.
Right.
I have 4 people in my department. Counting me.
So as far as pumps and other maintenance and wear items,
It operates on air pressure. So the biggest maintenance thing would be the air compressor.
Okay.
And they last a long time.
Right.
And then you have your normal wear items like tubes and hoses and stuff like that. So, yeah.
All right.
Anything else, John?
That's it.
Okay. Next, the park?
Yes. And if you don't mind, Debbie, I'll kind of give them a synopsis, and then we can go from there if you have anything else to add into that. As you're aware, we've been discussing the park and a few of the concerns as far as the football program and the liability insurance. I won't speak for Ms. Miller, but I know that she has been pursuing and is waiting back, and we'll find out here in a minute if she has any information, yes or no, so that they can continue to have the program out at the park. We did have the insurance, the risk loss portion of our insurance come in and do an overview of the township, and determined that the bleachers that were at the park were not meeting the safety code. Part of that is because they were too high without having the back and the cage on them, and then another component was a maintenance issue. And they were concerned only because they weren't our bleachers, that we didn't have some type of an agreement in place for us to also be dealing with the maintenance side of that. So I shared that information, the actual letter that came with Debbie, and not putting words in your mouth, but they made the decision that, and went ahead and took the bleachers apart and have removed them from the park. At this point in time, your season, I believe, is supposed to start at the end of the month, or, okay. So we really have not talked between the Public Works Superintendent and Debbie and myself as to what that means going forward for this season. And then we're not sure what that means going forward for next season either. Obviously, if we're going to do something with bleachers, the township, it's preferred through the insurance that the township would purchase them. And if we're going to have bleachers, then we need to consider whether we're having, a 3-rise bleacher, or we're getting the higher ones and making sure that they have the back and the safety mechanisms that have to be there. We really have not discussed that in detail. We have given it a quick look as far as cost, and obviously that depends on the size of the bleachers that you're getting, but the bottom line is the cheapest small set of bleachers we could get would start out at $500. So I guess I'll ask you to come up to the microphone if you would, just to kind of give us an idea on what you want to share as far as the liability and anything else.
So, the bleachers are gone, we tore them down, and today we took them for recycling. So because we had placed them behind the shed because the truck that we had come wasn't quite big enough or long enough. And so today, they were hauled away and taken to the recycler. I did reach out to Rich at Keystone, the insurance company that you had referred me to, today, and to see if he's gotten a quote back, because that kind of insurance is not something they handle themselves, they farm it out. And he said he sent an email to the company and asked them, and he hadn't gotten an answer. In fact, he expected it tomorrow.
Okay.
So, I mean, once the quote comes in and I come up with however much they tell me I have to pay them, then it's good to go. So, I think I've done everything you guys have asked in order to provide a football season for these kids, and we won't put bleachers up because, I have to say, we bought those bleachers in 1980. They've served us well. And in 1980, they didn't have to have back railings and side railings. And I was kind of wondering why, because they've been out there 12 years, why this year they did a risk assessment. They've never done that before.
Well, they have different representatives come out. They kind of rotate for us. And actually, I do believe that verbally, the bleachers were questioned in the past. They did not, however, include that in any of our reports or follow up with us separately that there was anything that needed to be taken care of. I don't know when the additional screening and the backing component, safety component went into place, but
I don't think it was this year.
no, I don't either. I think it's probably been a year or two. So I know that was one thing that stood out to them, because their first question to us, even in the office, was how high are the bleachers? And as soon as we said they were higher than the 3 seats, then, they immediately went to the whole safety component, and we said, well, we don't have that on there. So I don't know if it was just more because it was a different person that had been out there, from previous years with the safety change, or why that is, but I know that we were questioned in the office, and that's the information
When we went
that
out
came
and looked
back.
at them, there were possibly 2 welds that were broken, Trav.
There's several welds that were broken, but I'm just highly recommending you guys do not buy bleachers, do not put them there, because the people who cut the grass over there, and I don't know if you're in charge of that, is taking the equipment that they cut the grass with. I've watched it. I used to pay the bill after he cut the grass. He's running that equipment into the bleachers. Don't waste your money. You're just going to get more.
It weakens them. And then when they move them, there's only like one guy that goes out to the mow grass, so I mean, they're pretty heavy. So he's just pulling them out, so the caps on the ends are coming off. So every year I put caps on those, and every year I have those welded. So that's why we made a decision, because it's happening over and over again. And the gash that was in the one bench you sent me a picture of,
Yeah, she had gotten that
I have no idea what that is. That's not from anybody sitting watching a football game. So
Right.
It could have been something that flew like up when you're mowing or something. I have no idea. But I know that the dragging weakens the welds and actually pulls off those caps. So, and we've replaced them every year. So we found it just more beneficial to just take them down and recycle it. And end up, I mean, they weren't going to fall apart, because it took them 3 hours with sledgehammers and drills and everything. 3 hours out there to get those apart. So they were sturdy, but they didn't have that back rail or the side rails, and that wasn't a law. And it may have come up, it might have been a law like the last 5 years, but it's...
That regulation isn't anything over 3 foot line. You have to have a rod. That's been hundreds of years ago. That is a official regulation. And if you guys are doing inspections yearly at a park, don't know how you missed it.
Well, we don't do those inspections, but I will say,
Inspecting the equipment at the playground, there's no way anybody misses that. That's the first thing you should know, is anything over 3 foot height is regulation, has been for years.
well, I will check into that, but I also do know just from the schools themselves, I've seen a change in the last 3 to 4 years. Now, whether that's because OSHA has gotten, stricter with it or something, but yeah, and maybe that's kind of where
And
it
high school bleachers
came.
have about 15 rows, where we had 4. So 4 seating rows. So, I mean, high school you're way higher. You get up to the top row. But anyway, so they're gone, they're done, and I should know something about the insurance.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I might even actually have an actual quote.
Okay, great.
But the holdup is that he farmed it out, and maybe he sent it to several of them, or we're just waiting.
So going forward, are you not wanting bleachers anymore ever again? Or
You know,
what do you
here's
say?
what happened. When we took it to the recycler today, they didn't even want to take them. They wanted me to bring you, because they wanted proof that we didn't steal the bleachers from somewhere, that they actually belong to us. Because bleachers are being stolen all over town. So if I were you, I would not do that unless you were going to cement them in the ground. And here's what I suggested to Dave Weaver a couple of years ago, is you know the picnic tables that you had made, I think you got a grant to have those nice, they're made out of recycled plastic boards, those 2 picnic tables, which, by the way, one is now out in the woods and not up on the concession stand. So I suggested, Dave, that maybe we just do a 2-row bleacher, which you wouldn't need a back on, or sides.
With that type of
And actually make
material.
them permanent in the ground, because those plastic boards would last like forever. It would be such a nice look over there at the park, and really look much nicer. And,
Weed whacker to cut the grass.
yeah, and the weed whacker just to cut around the 2, you'd have a post in each end, just, not that they have to be long, but a couple sets of those. It would look really nice, and it would be pretty carefree and last for years. And, but I would not put aluminum bleachers, because apparently that's a real hot item, because now they're not even going to give me the money for 2 days. I had to send my driver's license. I had to send the email from you.
I was going to say, did Donna get you the email? Okay.
Yeah, and I still had it, so I had to send that to him. And they're going to wait 2 days to make sure there's not a police report, so Chief Wade, please don't write one up that I stole the bleachers. And then I can get the money for the lid. So, but that's where that ended up.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Anything else?
So why, I guess, why is there a preference that we buy them versus if they were donated? Or...
Because then we are completely responsible for any maintenance or moving them or anything like that, and it's just much cleaner and much less liability for them and for us.
And this isn't really something we can just build, correct? I mean, we'd have to have it engineered.
Right, we would have to go through the whole specification piece, just like we talked about with the announcer stand, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything good?
No, thanks.
Next, declaring engine surplus. Bob Bates?
So this is for engine 183. Mr. Kirshner had asked some questions about selling it versus declaring it surplus and donating it to another department. So we've done some checking on that, and I think Lori has gotten to where she's got the information she needs to go through like a gov deals type arrangement for doing that, if that's what the board wants to do in terms of auctioning or bidding it off. And, you know, I'm fine with either direction that the board would like to go, and, you know, quite frankly, from what I understand, if someone's willing to put several $1,000s out there, I'm certainly not going to leave several $1,000s sitting on the table. So, you know, let's throw a minimum bid on there and go for it and see what we get. The worst thing that happens is we don't get anything, and, you know, we go back to Plan A, as it were, with our thought, but we were going off of what we had been given from input from the folks that we had talked to. But I know Mr. Kirshner did some research, and I appreciate that, and he's got some folks who are willing to, again, put in several $1,000s here. So, you know, let's look at pursuing it that way and not leave any money sitting on the table. I don't know if Lori or the administrator want to speak to the gov deals piece and how that would work. So with that, that's what I've got, and I'll leave it to.
The only thing that I want to mention, we did leave a blank within the resolution as far as declaring it surplus, depending on what we want to designate to happen to it. But also, we had mentioned before about possibly putting a minimum bid, if we were going to do a bid, or a reserve amount. And if we are going to do that we will need to include that in our resolution for whatever direction we're going to go. And so just to we'll have to have some discussion on that here while we're talking about it, so that we have that dollar amount to add in there.
So we going to take this to an auction? Is that what you're saying? Online auction, government?
The way Gov Deals works, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we've only done this one other time, is that we would send them or they may send someone out, depending on how they do it. But to get pictures, various pictures of the engine, and then we would give them our information as far as specifics for the engine, as much detail as possible. They would then post it onto their site with the information. I do not know how long of a period that's for or what our choices are as far as that goes. We would list whatever minimum reserve that we have on it. And then, I don't know exactly how it works as far as, they determine a deadline that we can agree upon, and then if it sells, or if bids are received and it's above our minimum, then it's a sold item, and if it doesn't, then they come back to us and ask us, what do we want to do? But obviously with a resolution, we would have to come back to the board if it didn't bring the minimum. I don't know anything about it other than that.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's more information that the fiscal officer's aware of right now, never having dealt with it before.
What if we want to receive sealed bids in addition to, or in conjunction with?
Well, you cannot do that according to what the prosecutors shared with me.
Okay.
We would probably have to truthfully ask some more questions, when I sent him the notices that we had seen in the OTARMA, which granted we aren't talking about putting it in there, but he said any type of ad you're going to do, we're going to ask for a sealed bid. You would have to have a spelled out backup plan in case you had ties for a bid. You cannot have a tie for a bid and then have an auction process to determine who's going to get that.
Okay.
And he was concerned with the fact that he wouldn't say for sure because there's not enough information in the samples we sent him, but he was concerned that, that can't happen, and possibly that's what would be happening.
How did he explain that they are selling these outright at a fixed price in Otama? Because they're not doing an auction, they're just saying, here's a fire truck.
They're advertising the asking price. Well, he was not comfortable with the majority of these ads, I will tell you that.
Okay, all right.
But because they're not in their jurisdiction, he was not going any further with them.
Okay.
He gave me specific information on the way he would like to see an ad written up, which is a page and a half long here, just based on one item that he saw in here. So if that's something we're going to do, we definitely would have to continue to work with the prosecutor before we could actually place the ad to make sure that he's comfortable with that. But that's not, I don't have all of our answers, but he just brought up some of those points to say, when you decide what you're doing, I'll be happy to help you further, but, there's no sense in me spending a lot more time on this if that's not the direction you're going to go, with a advertised type price versus doing a gov deals or something like that.
But is he saying we can do an advertised price?
Yes, we can do an advertised price, or we can do a gov deals, but we cannot do both at the same time.
Okay, so he is saying that he doesn't like the way those are written, but the process itself is not illegal. It doesn't have to be an auction format. It can be.
Correct. You can ask for a seal.
We're selling this for X.
Right.
Contact us.
You just have to have something in place so that if you have three entities that are giving you X, how are you going to determine that from there?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
How do you determine a price?
Well, my personal suggestion would be... Well, he has talked to, I believe, the sales rep, and that's where he got his $17,100 or whatever it is.
Mr. Kirshner's the one who had the 17,000 number, so, if we know somebody that's out there that's willing to do that, I think that probably what you're looking for is either a governmental entity that will be interested in buying the truck. I'd be surprised, given the hours and the mileage, if there would be any interest in that, given what's out there on the market. Or a fire truck resale company that is in that. And I will just simply say to you that they have to have profit somewhere, and they put work into these trucks to one degree or another. And that being said, I will tell you that we found a fire apparatus reseller, and I received an email from someone in one of the Wyoming or somewhere in that general area, and they were inquiring about the Sutphen engine that we used to have that was totaled in 2015. And someone had literally gone to our website, and they actually took pictures off the website of engine 181, and were using that to advertise the truck.
Did we get a good price for it?
I don't have the foggiest idea. The gentleman sent me an email and said, "Hey, I'm inquiring about your Sutphen engine that's for sale by such and such." And I said, "I'm not really sure who that is, but the only one I can think of, and maybe you can help me, is this the one that was totaled?" And I never heard from him again.
Well, the entity, the salespeople that quoted 17 to 25 being a range of price that they would expect to get from it is basically, it's kind of like Auto Trader for fire trucks. So they're going to list it, but it's yours to sell. So I don't know how we manage that process. It's more of a listing service, and they're saying it's going to bring...
Oh, so it would be like a competitor of Gov Deals.
Yeah, more or less, except it's more ad-based, right? It's more of the Otarma ad with a commission, with a 10% commission. But you're still going to have to be available to show the thing, get them pictures, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Gov Deals, I think, would probably net us the least value that we're going to get out of it as far as that goes. So, I mean, I would think you would start with an ad, would be my suggestion.
Well, sure, if there's somebody out there that does that, and then, if we're going to have a minimum, you just recognize that if it's somebody like that, and that's where they're making their money, is they're getting a percentage of the sale, then, that's going to be coming off the top there. But, if they seem to think that they can hit between that range, then, put it out there and see what happens. Again, the worst thing that happens is you don't get any bids, or they don't make the minimum, and you can go back and revisit that issue. But if they seem to think it's that ballpark.
Process, right? It's for sale.
That's it's similar to the Otarma thing, right? Exactly.
It's not a bid process. It's in classified ads, and somebody calls and says, "I want to see it," and you show it to them, and they decide to buy it.
Understood. So, and I think that's the piece that we have to work out with the auditor. Well, and that's fine, because, the auction, you're stuck at the end of the day.
So I can share what I found, and you can get with the auditor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of figuring out the logistics and the semantics of how that would have to work, so.
This resolution, we're not going to act on that. We're not sure if we're going to designate it for auction or sale, and what the reserve is, if there's going to be one.
So, I guess clarify for me, are we just going to investigate this specific route and see what that involves? Because we need to declare it a surplus, if nothing else, if you want us to pursue
Didn't we declare it
advertising it.
surplus a couple of months ago?
No. We tabled the entire matter. So I think what we're saying is we want to pursue this route, but we need to figure out what it is we need to do and how that's going to work. You're right, it's got to be declared surplus.
So then we need to change this resolution to just designate it as surplus.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Correct, we can do that. We can just change it to leave it where it says, move to declare the fire department engine, the 1995 Pierce Sabre, as surplus, and end it at that. And then we can gather the information and get everything.
Come back and set up what the process would be.
And you can give us the authority to go ahead and actually then advertise once we've put everything back through the prosecutor and make sure everything's okay. And if it's
Right.
not, then we may be coming back to you and have a different direction that we, suggest to go.
What was going to be in the, okay, as surplus and designated to be blank, what was going to be in that blank? If we,
Advertised on Gov Deals.
Auctioned or sold.
Auctioned or sold
auctioned
for
or
a minimum
sold, whatever,
of.
Yeah.
what if we just make that, I don't know, can we leave that fairly generic and just say to be sold with, over the next 90, or to attempt to sell over the next 90 days for an amount no less than 10,500 or something like that, so we can move forward,
Continue to
not
move
stretch it
forward.
out another 30 days.
Or
so-
could we authorize you, could we set an amount and authorize you to take action of either selling or auctioning it?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Just make it 10.5 and that way we can work on it without it stagnating for another.
We can do that. We just, I think, rather than specifically
To be sold or
rewrite here
auctioned
this
with a-
resolution, let's write it as a separate one.
Yeah, so I'll declare it as surplus here.
Okay.
And then we'll have another resolution to authorize you to
Sell or
I'm
auction
sorry,
for
you're
a
going to
minimum
go ahead and
bid.
use this one to declare it surplus, is that what you
surplus
said?
only, yep. And then we'll authorize you to liquidate the vehicle at no less than 10.5, or whatever the number is. Is 10.5 the number?
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but 10.5 seems fine. Does that, does publicizing that amount hurt the sale? So they know we got, the resolution says no less than 10.5, they look at the
Yeah, that's
resolution.
probably
in
not the
office.
greatest, it's probably not the most prudent thing to put it out there as far as the minimum price if we want to set a reserve higher, I don't know.
I suspect you probably have to put that out there, though, if you set some sort of a minimum. I'm just guessing. I don't know. That's just a guess, so.
Yeah, best offer, we could say best offer above 10,000.
Yeah, but then you're not covering your minimum with best offer.
You said best offer above 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't hear the above piece.
It says the same thing a different way, right? Basically.
Well, the above part is where you put the hook on there that, you can come in at what the minimum is, but you better be pretty confident you're the only guy coming to.
Right, best offer no less than 10,500.
Yeah, or best offer above. Yeah.
Above.
Thank you, Victor, that's a good thought.
And then how long are we going to leave it open? Is that a week? 30 days?
90 maybe.
60 days, okay.
30, 60, 90, what do we have?
It doesn't, I'm okay, we should probably set that too.
Yes,
Or at least give that
I'd
guidance.
say 90 days. Might take a while.
90.
Yeah, it's good. Can I read that one after executive session, or are you going to hand me something to read?
Do whatever you prefer. You want the 30 days or 90?
90.
90.
Okay.
I'd prefer to be able to get it typed up, so.
Me too, it's easier to read.
Okay, yeah, much easier to read. Okay, so we can do that one afterwards. Okay.
Okay, thank you all. Next, new business. Susan, just read it, trick or treat, Tuesday, October 31st, or, yeah,
Right.
2017, but don't have any times.
Well,
That's 6 to 8.
the time would be what we choose. The date is what still comes through MORPC for all of the communities. That would be the date that's been selected in hopes that we would support that. Chief, I believe that we've normally done it from 5:30 to 7. 5:30. Or 7:30. And if you don't know, we can figure that out for the next time, but we at least want to get that date out
These
there.
are on the 5 time area, so whichever one we want to do, 5:30. It's better to have a little bit of daylight for the smaller ones to get done, so I think 5 o'clock would be a better time.
Do you know yet what Groveport is doing? I mean, I know they end earlier than we do, but
Groveport typically does 5 or 5:30 to 6:30 or 7. Groveport's typically a half an hour ahead of Canal Winchester because they have the children's parade. And I don't honestly remember where Groveport's at in relationship to the township. I think they may be that half hour ahead of the township. I think we.
He's looking that up there.
I'm looking at Morpsey's website to see if it has a time.
I think we've typically mirrored Canal.
Which I think is 5:30 to 7:30. Because it's a mad dash to get home by 5:30.
Right.
Yeah, so this resolution from Morpsey it's a 5-year date selection, but no time. But Canal is 5:30 to 7:30, I'm pretty sure.
Last year, trick or treat was from 5:30 to 7:30.
Thank you.
There you go. I feel like
That
I
was
just
the
said
other Madison Township. It was corrected.
Oh, I'm
It was
sorry.
actually for our Madison Township, it was 5:30 to 7. That came from an inaccurate original post, but that was the other Madison Township, 5:30 to 7:30 in Ohio, the other one.
Okay, I stand corrected then. Thank you, Reese.
And the time change doesn't change to November 5th.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, I think 5's tough, personally, just to get people home, and that's a stressful day for parents, I think.
Absolutely.
But are we going just till 7 then? Or we need to go back and look at that and come back with a time, but at least the date is locked in?
You have a problem with 7:30?
No, I mean, usually everybody's still on around 8 o'clock, so.
Okay.
So what do we think, 5:30 to 7:30 or 5:30 to 7? 7:30?
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30, 7:30.
Is that a resolution on here with a time? though?
It is not a resolution, it's just an announcement, because we will start getting phone calls here in another couple of weeks now that school's back in session.
Anything else? Okay. Chief? Got it? Okay, buddy. Okay, Susan, and
Actually, the next ones are not mine.
go inside millage, of course, that.
Trustee Kirschner had asked
Okay,
that
good,
be on the
I've heard
agenda.
of it, so.
Okay. John Pritchard brought to my attention that, and I confirmed this, Lori confirmed this today, I should say, that we have 1.43 million of unclaimed inside millage that can be used for the unincorporated portion of the township for roads and road improvement.
How much?
1.43 mil.
Oh, I thought you said million. I went, whoa, okay.
Well, so has that been discussed before in budget planning, et cetera?
Not that I know of ever.
Okay, so, and Lori?
No, it has not. I double-checked with Barb, the retired fiscal officer, and she said that, in fact, she said no, she couldn't remember any time other than possibly when she would have started in the position that there had been any discussion on the inside millage and adding anything into that.
Okay. Are we familiar with the process? Is it something?
The only thing I know about it is it's money that you can spend without going to the taxpayer, which we've, like, for example, the fire department, we specifically went to the voters to learn about direction. And I can imagine if you don't allow public, with the feedback we're getting tonight about not allowing public comment on things like towing companies, I can imagine spending 1.4 mil on something.
Well, yeah, you don't have to claim, that's what's available.
Right.
So, Lori had a resolution from
New Albany.
New Albany where they'd applied, so there is budgetary money there that's unclaimed, that a portion of can be used for road improvements, et cetera. The ship sailed for 2018 because they have their hearings when?
They're having them now.
Okay.
We would have had to start this process back in
Right.
April, May.
So for 2019, there's opportunity to possibly balance budget and look at ways to get the roads taken care of. So I wanted to bring that forward, and thank you, Mr. Pritchard, for making me aware, because I didn't know, and I'd sat through 2 budget cycles, and I'd never heard of that. I never heard it brought up. So, I mean, it's there. Clearly, you don't have to claim 1.43 mil, but there's money there on the table, and obviously, I think there's a need to to do some fund balancing to get the roads taken care of, and we were just looking at 2018 and being down to Lori's projection of somewhere around 80,000, so we're bleeding our general fund dry, running the roads through that. So I just wanted to bring that forward and see if you all were aware and what conversations you'd had about it. It can't be used for fire, but it is used for roads. And what were the other purposes?
Chief was already trying to claim it over here.
What's that?
No, actually, no, Chief wasn't, okay. In all due fairness, I would be going down the same path as Mr. Pritchard, or as Mr. Kirshner is. Too many Johns going here. I would be going down the same path as Mr. Kirshner here. Inside millage can be spent on whatever the board it is, whatever the board deems they want to spend inside millage for. Since I've been here, the board's policy has been the police department and fire department run off of their respective levies. The inside millage is used for operating general fund administration and public works. And because, as Lori and I spoke today, and the administrator and I spoke, and because what this is 1.43, you said? This 1.43 mils is millage that is unclaimed in the non-incorporated part of the township, because Canal and Groveport and Obetz have 1.43 inside mills on the books that they're collecting. So in the unincorporated area, no one has claimed that, and that reflects very much the way that a road levy would work. If you ran a road levy, only the unincorporated area pays on a road levy.
And it is by statute. So it isn't by statute. The police and fire can't work within it. It is for, there's only like 4 or 5 purposes.
Okay, I've never heard that before.
If you have knowledge, do you want him to? I don't know. Do you?
John, yeah, just quick.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Can you come up to the podium?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, what it is by statute, the counties, if you look at it from the counties, you've got several tax overlays in Madison Township, okay? I think there's probably 16 different taxing districts within the township, maybe a few more, maybe a few less. Okay, so what happens is, at the county level, the maximum inside millage is permitted among all the taxing authorities. That includes the villages, well, now cities, the school districts, the townships, police levies, fire levies, everything that goes into that is 10 mils, okay? So what remains right now for Madison Township is 1.43 mils remains, and there's no overlays over top of that any other organization, police or fire, because police and fire are both taxed through the villages, and those are overlaid by the full 10 mils, okay? So for example, I don't think Groveport School District, I don't think Canal Winchester, there's probably no millage left at all for them, when you go to other taxing districts to be able to look at it that way. So it was maxed out at 10 mils, and then this 1.43 is what's left over from that 10, based from the county down. The county, like I said, is 1.47, then you add in whatever Canal Winchester's got, whatever, Groveport's got at that level, and you just stack it on top of each other, but there's nothing above us in the unincorporated areas that prohibits some flexibility within the budget to acquire that money if we do things, smartly, so.
Good.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, yes, that could be, concert to the road.
Anything else on that inside millage, John?
No.
Anybody? Susan? We good?
No, I think though that the clarification needs to be made that it would be a non-voted tax. So if next year the board votes to pursue and the county grants us this ability, when you get your property tax bill, it's going to be an increase by the 1.4. So, that's not money that's just magically going to appear. It's still coming from the residents. You're just not, it would be a new tax that you don't get to vote on, as Mr. Piney said. So I agree, it's a great opportunity, but I think we need to make sure that everybody understands it's still coming from the residents and you're going to be paying more money.
Well, I think what would be helpful, there is if Lori could go through and give us a breakdown of where all our millage is coming from currently through all the departments and what that means to us annually. So we've got multiple levies going all the way back to the 70s that are still in place, and what do those mean, and what do they equate to, so that, there may be an opportunity again to not just throw an increase out, which I wouldn't be for, but to actually do a balancing and see if there's extra monies in one area where we can be more efficient, and then and then basically, like I've been saying for a while, balance the budget out a little differently. So I don't know if...
We're talking about this would be an increase if we...
If you did nothing else. If you did nothing else and just captured that, if you didn't do anything else with any other millage, then yes, it would be an increase. But if you addressed possibly, some small 30-year-old or 40-year-old,
Take other things off from
or let them roll off, yeah, who knows, yeah. We don't know, because I don't think any of us know what those numbers are.
No, I don't even know about it, so.
Okay.
May I make a comment?
Gary?
In this inside village, years ago, this was brought to a clerk's attention.
Gary, you want to stop? I can't hear you.
Years ago, this inside village was brought to the clerk's attention, as well as the board, when I was on the board and so forth. When it was brought to the clerk's attention, the issue that I believe that she commented on was that the inside millage could be problematic as far as the township. And what she meant by that, I never did get clarification, but that's just one to let people know that this is something that had been asked before, and our current trustees was aware of it, except for Pritchard, he wasn't a trustee at the time. But it was supposed to be looked into. So if this is something that we can collect, I'm all for it, and I think it's a great thing. But I just want to know this was something that was addressed once before.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, public comments at meetings. You said you had something, Susan, you got with the other?
Actually, I don't know, Mr.
Go
Fisher,
ahead,
do you
no,
want to
go.
bring
I
up
just-
your reason for...
Well, my thinking was, just like kind of what happened here, it's great. I mean, I want people to talk and share ideas, but I think we need to have a structure for it. So, for instance, with what just happened, maybe we should open the floor for X minutes for public comment when we come to these areas, and then be fair about it. I know some of the comments that I'm hearing is preference, so some people will get to popcorn up all the time and be thanked for it, and other people might not be. So, I just want to make sure it's uniform, fair, and also the special meetings, when we do have agenda items, where we have a large agenda like we did last time, I don't want to hear from the public or the media, which I've heard from both, that we're having meetings at 7:30 in the morning to hide from them, or we know they're not available, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So perhaps we should continue the discussion when we have special meetings that have a lot of items on there, where we maybe do allow public input. So that was my thinking, just adding some structure to the public input, because if we do want to open it back up, let's open it back up for a specific time, be fair to everybody, and that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. That's what it is.
Any time, like what just happened now, let's open it up, X number of minutes, let everybody, that wants to speak on an item, speak on it, not just show preference, and one person raises his hand, and the other person gets shut out, et cetera. So make sure we're fair in the way we manage it.
Okay, and what do you got?
I'll be happy to share with you what we discussed today, but I don't want to step on anybody's toes, because I'm not sure that we're going in the same direction
That's
that you
fine.
just mentioned. Our concern, getting back to the fact of what's on the agenda later on, and many times you guys have questions that currently we don't entertain, related to a resolution. The goal of the staff is that we give you enough information either prior to this meeting or at the beginning of this meeting, especially on resolutions that are coming up, that we're able to move through the resolutions in a timely manner and not continually stop and start and answer questions. So in looking at it from that viewpoint, what some of us had talked about today is, and there are a couple other townships that do something similar to this, is when each department has their time for the board, they would actually talk about, even if they don't have any additional information to say, they would say, Chief Bates might say, well, I have resolutions on tonight for 6 part-time employees to be reclassified to full-time. And that would be the opportunity then for anyone, public or the board, to ask a specific question. And then he would move on to his next resolutions that are on there. But he would purposely point out each resolution or type of resolution that is on there, so that there's the opportunity to answer questions, so that when we still get into going through the actual reading of the resolutions, we're not stopping and starting, but there's been that opportunity early in the meeting. And we would then, like I said, do that under each staff member. So in essence, whether we give you a printed agenda or not, which that's not part of this specific, but we would be telling you about that early in the meeting. You could ask questions, may ask for clarifications, whatever you're going to do, but then there wouldn't be any additional, unless, of course, the board themselves had a question that came up, and every once in a while that'll happen, but that would continue to keep the meeting moving later on, and we would keep all of that discussion still within a reasonable time frame under the staff reports, if it hadn't already occurred under old or new business.
What kind of message do you want, John?
I like that.
I mean, you said you wanted to limit it, for them to talk.
Well, like you had said.
No, I was just saying that, we've had, I don't know what to call it, I call it popcorn. People popping up long after the.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just saying, if that was going to happen, then maybe, okay, there's a motion made to reopen it to public comment for X minutes, so it's contained and everybody has an opportunity. I like basically what she said better, I think, and that it gives the department heads the opportunity. The only other thing I have is, the only thing I have to compare this to is the school board. I don't really have, that much government experience, but what do other townships do as far as when the agenda goes out? That would be good to know, because it seems like it's really late here, but I don't have anything, I don't know what townships do.
I'm not going to make an excuse, but what I will tell you is most townships have 2 meetings a month.
Right.
So, we take what most townships do every 2 weeks or twice a month, and we have it once a month, which lots of times, just like today, means I'm emailing you late this morning saying, hey, we've had to add on, 2 or 3 resolutions, because in the mail, we just got the Columbus State renewal for the contract, the type thing. So I can't completely control that, because we do only have 1 meeting a month, and we try to stay away from the specials in general. So to a point, you're always going to have that possibility.
I think 2 meetings a month is great, starting in January.
Yeah, I knew that you would like that. I knew that you would vote for that. But I think that that's just one of the cons, if you will, to having 1 meeting a month, is we have a lot of business, and even if we would give you the agenda the Friday prior, we're still going to have additions that come down, on Tuesday afternoon.
He's joking, but I'm with Victor. I mean, if we need, if things need to flow more smoothly, if we need 2 meetings a month, it doesn't kill me. But let me ask you this, in January or in November or in December, we've already set our 2018. Does that matter?
Well, it matters, yes. Because, several things. In the past, the board has waited until after the election to know who's coming in. I won't speak for past boards, but if the same people are coming back, we've always had a conversation, do we want to stick with the same schedule, at least since I've been involved.
Oh, okay.
Having a new member or two new members or whatever it's going to be, the board could certainly not set the meetings prior to the new year. You would need to set a meeting for an early part of January because we're going to have to get things signed and go forward. But then at that meeting, you could have the discussion to determine how we're going to do meetings for the rest of the year, and then we could set those meetings. So, because your new board member or members would need to weigh in on that, in my opinion.
Right.
So, yeah, we don't have to set meetings up in November, December, like we have in the past, knowing that we have at least one new board member that's going to be coming on because Trustee Piney has chose not to rerun. There's no problem with that. We'll just, we'll handle that. We'll have to schedule a meeting early in January to keep things moving because we'll need, new signatures and that, rather than waiting until the middle of the month like we've done before. So we can make that adjustment without any problem, and just let you have the discussion. Another comment I have is, I don't mind changing things at all. I'm not sure we want to get things set in stone early on here. I think if some of the things that we're talking about sound like the board would like to see some changes, we can make some of the changes next month. Let's see how it runs for a couple months. I think it's going to need some tweaking over time and as we adjust things. So we're happy to make the changes and see how they work out. We may need to make more changes down the road.
I think an easy thing is to go back to printing these out.
Sure.
So that people at least know what's on the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
We can do that. Is there anything else? Do you just want to do that so that they can look at those before as they come in, they have time to look at them? Do we want to?
Is it a matter of them being printed on the table, or is it a matter of the people that are getting notification getting the agenda in advance? Because does it help? But if it's sitting on the table, do you just run in and read it real quick and all of a sudden come up with a comment? Or are you looking for more time?
Well, it's different because at the city level, you have 3 readings and lots of time to comment. And here, we don't pass legislation, so it's only resolution, so it's one reading. So it's different.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chairman Dillon, do we have, or do you have a standard operating procedure that you pass along?
For what, ma'am?
For the township as a whole. I mean, we used to have a standard operating procedure or SOP so that if you get new people on board, they at least have something to go back through to look at what is practiced within our township. Or, per se, a trustee, an administrator, police chief, because it can change.
Did you get any, John?
Did you get any training, John?
I don't have it memorized. I don't have the SOP memorized, so.
It's a great suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. We don't have that in place.
I mean, at a lot of places that I haven't worked that many, but we have had an SOP, and I have even implemented
some different things. Okay.
That, if Chief Braden or Fire Chief Bates leaves, and passes it on to a new chief, they at least are going to have something that they can refer to. And that way there isn't so much questioning above where you all are sitting.
Actually, along those lines, the other thing that we have found that some boards have is a board policy, board policy procedure. Yeah, we do not have that, but to your point, maybe that's something that we need to look at that, and then that SOP falls under each department because the departments obviously have SOPs and that. But, right, from a board level, have a policy and then have SOPs for the different positions underneath, because that is a good point. Then, a new, I'm sure Dave would have appreciated that, and some, a little bit more direction of something typed out when he came in that truly dealt with that specific department.
And it wouldn't be that difficult without
Right.
like a basic outline, if you would, like a thesis or whatever you would do in college. I mean, what you run throughout the day, it's not that difficult. I've done many of them, so just a ABC list, if you will.
Very good.
Very good.
I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan, yeah, you're writing it down there.
So we will print agendas for the next meeting. If you tell me, I'm going to go out on a limb here. If you tell me that you would like the agenda as soon as it's ready, and you have a fax or an email, we will do our best to get that to you. Again, it may be 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon, so, if you're asking for it, you're going to need to check your emails. But we will attempt to make those type of changes, and then as staff, we can talk about maybe some other implementations of things that we can try to do to make things a little bit smoother for the public and that. Okay.
John, you have anything else, sir?
No, thank you.
Victor, you have anything?
No.
Anybody got anything? No, that's good. Okay, thanks, everybody. Okay, we'll go on to department activities, updates, resolutions. Chief Bates, please.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to propose, given the length of the agenda and executive session, that we just take the reports as presented and let them go through anything else that they may have, if you guys are okay with that. Just so skip going through the metrics. I just see two attorneys sitting out there that are charging us while they sit here, so.
Can we give them some coffee or something so that they're definitely on a break?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of items for the board tonight before I get into the staffing on Medic 183 that you see up there. Station 182, they did the new flooring last week, and the interesting thing happened. It would appear that we've doubled the living space in that part of the building. I mean, it makes a huge difference. It literally looks like it's twice as big. They started Station 181 today, and again, the same things happened. They kind of did the walkway as you come in from the door, and now looks like it's about twice as long as it used to be. Wow. I think it's just because of the darker color and what you've got going on there. But Station 182 came out very nice, so if you get a chance, stop over there. In the weekly report, the last couple of weeks, you've seen a note that Extra Medic 181, the transmission went out of that unit. We have secured 2 prices for repairs, and we are looking at going forward with having W.W. Williams do that. Repair, they are $3,200 and change less than FIDA. We also had gotten a price from Stoops over in Dayton. The issue with Stoops was there's a transmission cooler that's on that separate that is going to have to be rebuilt. Stoops did not have the ability to rebuild the cooler. So they had given us a price on a transmission, but not all the parts and not the installation. When we called back and said, it kind of doesn't do us any good if you don't put it in the truck, they started working on that piece of it. Then they called back within 45 minutes and said, hey, that cooler's got to get rebuilt. We can't do it. We're not interested.
Okay.
And it was going to be a $500 tow bill to get the truck to Dayton as well. So at this point, we're looking at moving forward with W.W. Williams. Again, they're $3,200 and change less than FIDA, and both of those are accredited, certified, whatever the appropriate term is, Allison dealers. That was the other concern that we had with Stoops, was they weren't a recognized Allison dealer, so we were going to have warranty issues
Did you
going down the
calculate how
road.
long it would take to drive over there to Dayton in first gear?
No. Because I'm thinking it probably wouldn't have made it there, so that's that. Then, the issue that you see up here tonight, staffing with Medic 183, there are 6 part-time to full-time resolutions for the board this evening. That is going to be for staffing Medic 183. We've been given a tentative delivery time frame of the 3rd week of September for the truck. Some of the equipment, a bit of the equipment is here, if you recall. We purchased some of that in May, specifically the heart monitors and the Lucas device, because the physio control contract with the state was about to expire, and we knew there was going to be a price increase, so we got it before the price increase came in. So when the truck gets here, it'll probably be about a week or so to get it situated to be moving to an in-service status. These 6 conversions are going to be for the staffing for Medic 183, as well as to help out with keeping a cap on overtime. We've been able to do that with a number of injuries previous this summer. We've been hit with another rash of injuries, and we're starting to experience some overtime, but by bringing these folks in, they will help us keep that overtime down. And then when Medic 183 comes in, they will allow us to go to 2 people assigned to Medic 183 as the board wished, so that truck will go in service, and we'll run 2 medics out of here with trying to keep Medic 183 in the northern area of the township during daytime to the extent that we can do that. Then we would do the promotions for the lieutenant at that station and move them to their full staffing level when we hit substantial completion, because the collective bargaining agreement speaks specifically to the lieutenant. When a lieutenant per station, we would not have to add those lieutenant positions at this point in time, because they already have a lieutenant here at Station 181 as well as the battalion chief.
I'm sorry, did you say when you thought 183 would be here?
The 3rd week of September is the time frame we've been given right now.
And it's about another week, so it's 1st of October probably before we have it on the road.
Yeah, it's probably around the 1st of October to get it on the road. It's going to get here, they've got to go do a radio install on it, then it's going to be put the mounting brackets on for the heart monitor, some of those kinds of things.
Bring it to the October.
Yeah, there's no reason it shouldn't be here for the October meeting unless something in production goes terribly wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen after the delays with Medic 182. I don't think they want to travel that path again. So that is what those staffing positions are. That's how we would be staffing it. I sent you a memo outlining all this last week, and then also, as I indicated in the memo, we've got some pending retirements that as soon as we get those retirements in place and know what dates are with those, we want to move on to promotions that are going to be generated from that, but that's separate from the 3 lieutenants that we need for Station 183. Again, the collective bargaining agreement says when Station 183 opens, they have to have their lieutenants, so that would be an after the 1st of the year thing, and it would actually come off of the new promotional list. So is the way that would look right now.
How many people you got sick right now?
Right now, off on long-term sick, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 folks, 5 folks that are off from emergency services. 1 of the 5 is working transitional duty in fire prevention. 1 of the folks is scheduled back in about 2.5 weeks or thereabouts. 1 is scheduled for a mid-October return right now, and the other 2 are looking like early November returns. 1 of those early November return folks thinks that they'll be able to come in on transitional duty in about 2 weeks, and I certainly have stuff that they're going to be able to do. He's going to be on limited lifting because he's got an arm injury, but he is a fire inspector, so if I don't have chief things that I'm going to have him helping me with. Fire Marshal Height has work waiting, so.
How many out of class?
Right now, we have 2 people that are acting out of class. We have not had to move anybody and will not have to move anybody because just pure circumstance, dumb luck, whatever you want to call it. The number 1 person where the injuries have occurred, those are the shifts that have the current person at the top of the promotional list. So we're not going to have to do the 30 days and then move somebody from one unit to another to get the top person off of the list into the spot that they belong. That piece has just happened to fall into place. So that's all I have, unless you have any other questions tonight.
Thank you.
So,
No, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next on the agenda will be Chief Brigger.
Real quick, Trustee Kirshner had a question about body cameras last month. 18 cameras to fit everybody with the clips and chargers and everything that we would need to match the in-car cruiser cameras we have now is
Chief,
12.
Trustee can't hear. Can you repeat, start again? And
The body cameras you questioned about, 18 of those with the batteries, chargers, the clips for the uniforms, all the accessories. It's around $12,487. We also will need to upgrade the computer system, which we need to start doing that now with the new in-car cameras we have now, which is going to total $17,600. The biggest thing that we're waiting on, and a lot of other agencies, is the City of Columbus is still in the process of doing their policy and procedures, and we're waiting to just, and everybody else, to piggyback off of their contract for those, because it makes it easier. We don't have to argue with the lodge when it comes around, because their people have it, and it just goes in a lot smoother that way, kind of like we did the drug testing. We marked theirs, so there was nothing to really complain about. I'll give this to you, John, if you want to.
So are you saying we're just north of 30,000 after we upgrade the PCs, or was it 17 with the PCs? That it?
Yeah.
Was it 12.4 and 17.6 combined to be just a little over 30? Okay.
Which at 17, we really need to start on that 12, because we're actually getting to the point we need to add memory to the computer now because of the new camera systems. When those cruisers pull in, it automatically downloads into the system, so.
Is that something you looked at all, Victor? Is that in your realm?
It can be, I have not looked at it.
Sergeant Schleppy's the one he's the one that got all this, and he would be installing it, so it's a big cost savings for us to do that.
The other IT issue I would point out on their computer upgrade, and I'm sure that one of the 2 trustees, Mr. Piney or Mr. Kirshner, can help me out here, but within, I think we're down to about 18 months, some of those older Windows operating systems that I think the chief has are going to no longer be supported. I want to say Windows 8's going out within about 18 months, and so that would be a concern, is dealing with the IT stuff for the township that I'd be looking at and saying, and I'm certain that Mr. Keel would pretty soon be getting on the chief's case, similar to he did with mine, where he essentially came and took my computer away.
Chief Braden, though, to clarify, that $17,600 for the computer upgrade, that is not included in your budget even currently, so, okay.
Yeah, are you willing to look at this?
That? Well, we should talk about the computer system upgrade first.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm seeing a $12,000 video server.
Yeah, that's the camera system, but even to support the camera system, his computers need upgraded, that's the 17.
Right, it says server for storing car video recordings, 12.
That's the little box they plug in. Did you see the picture? Flip it back.
They're calling that a server?
That's...
No,
that's a multi-dock.
Those are just the body cameras.
They're saying $12,000, if I'm reading this correctly, they're saying $12,000 for a recording server.
I mean, I'm happy to talk with Keel about it.
that would be good, because that's a heck of a service. With terabytes costing what they cost now, it'd be good to know if we're...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Sometimes you put police on the name of a video server, and it's, you know what can happen.
You're talking about
A video server.
a tremendous amount of storage.
Terabytes, yeah. I'm familiar, but it would be good to look at that, make sure it's not.
That's all I have, Chair.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. John? Next, Superintendent Dave Watkins, please.
Yes, last week I met with county engineers about our OPWC grants and found out that the roads I wanted to do, we do not have enough asphalt on them to just do a 2-inch mill and overlay. So we're going to have to do a full depth recycle, more or less.
Tear the road up.
Tear the road up, add asphalt, add Portland to it, and put a new cap on it. So the roads that we'll be able to do probably a lot less than what I originally planned. But we don't have a square yardage cost yet on that operation process.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll know something soon. But we got until the 16th of September before we have to do the application.
Okay.
The curves look nice out there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We're almost done. We got one more day. Ran out of paint again.
Gotcha. Any questions for him, John?
No, thank you.
Vic?
No, thanks.
Okay, next would be Administrator Susan Brooks, please.
I'm just going to go quickly through the few things that I have. We have a lot of resolutions on the agenda. I believe everything that deals with contracts and that you've all been given a copy of at some time during the month. But just to review, we do have the OPWC application approval so that, as Superintendent Watkins said, before the deadline, we can get that information to them. Also, the tire collection will be on Saturday, September the 16th, from 8 a.m. to noon at the same location as last year, which is up behind Cat's Tires at Harbor and Hamilton. We will have a roll-off up there, collect tires. It's passenger tires, bike tires, lawnmower tires, no semi-tires or no rims. We can't take those. Flyers will be prepared, like I said, from SWACO, and so we'll get those out. We'll get the alerts out. The postcard is being laid out right now. I should have the proof of that early next week, and then that should go out before the end of the month. So we'll have postcards out to all the residents that will include that information. There's flyers on the back table. Want to invite everyone to the memorial service for September 11th, the 9/11, down at Mott's Military Museum. It'll be at 7:30 in the morning. Everyone's welcome to attend, and we'll have a service that the chief is working on coordinating. Also back in the back, and I know the Block Watch has publicized this, MORPC is incentivizing the free home and weatherization program through the end of August. If it's something that you qualify for and you schedule an appointment and they come out and take a look at the resident's home, they can get a free $25 gift card. So we're helping them to promote that. I mentioned earlier, just briefly, but we did receive the Columbus State Community College contract for renewal. The resolution is on for tonight. That allows us to support the college by having ride-alongs, and in return, they give us a credit bank. We also have on the resolutions for tonight, and we've had them in the past, where some of the firefighters will take advantage of using those credits. We have several of those tonight. We also have several resolutions for actual tuition reimbursement, where specifically tonight, it's firefighters are going to be taking courses, and they need that prior approval so that if they meet the qualifications with a passing grade, that they'll be able to be reimbursed. Those are specifically fall under the contract language, so it's not it's something that's already been in place. There's a resolution on tonight for the Community Development Block Grant Program to continue to support that. There is a resolution on, that is new to us, only because we are newer members of MORPC, but it is something that MORPC does on a 2 to 3 year cycle, and that's an agreement for the comprehensive continuing and cooperative transportation planning process. And again, that is something standard for them, but because we're fairly new, we had not been included in that. They had some new employees come in, we're going through the files and realize that we've never done one of those grants. I believe, unless you have questions, the other two items that are in here are renewal of the Employee Assistance Program, which again is part of both of the contracts that we have to maintain those. It's a renewal, there's no increase, and they've increased their services that they're going to provide opportunities for the employees to use. And then we have received a copy of the new contract that we're a part of with the Canal Winchester School District through Likens Energy, who fuels over at that canal complex. And if you remember earlier this year, we did a separate agreement piggybacking on that contract for Likens to provide fuel for the complex. So there's a resolution to allow us to do a new contract through the upcoming piggyback. Now, the only thing we do need to decide, the Canal Winchester contract is a 5-year contract. I won't say have never, but I'm not aware that we've ever done a contract that long. And I did have a discussion with them today. They're fine if we want to go with a 2 or 3 year contract and potentially then have the extensions like we have with the trash or something. But the resolution on here would just authorize me to go ahead and enter into that agreement like we did in the spring. However, we need to fill in the blank for how long you're comfortable with that contract being before we read the resolution. So if it starts August 1st of 17, so it starts this month. We can do through 19, we can do through 20, whatever your preference would be. If you want to do the 5-year, we certainly can do it, but
we can go as little as 2 year without incurring any additional costs.
Absolutely.
And there's obviously there's no auto renewal or anything like that.
No.
So if the price is the same, I would sign as short a contract as we can, unless you see some benefit of if you see.
Well, it is. The benefit I see is not having to do it every year, obviously, but I think a 2-year contract would be sufficient in that it is a state bid, so they're working off the state bid and they're working off the same formula they've always worked off of. So we're still getting the best bang for our buck, but doing a 2-year contract I think is fair, and then, if you decide you want to we just renew it, we certainly can do that at that point.
Okay. What do you think, too, John?
Yeah.
Too good?
Sure.
So then, for your resolution, we would go through...
July 31st, 2019?
Yes.
18, yeah.
And unless you have questions, that is all I have.
Thank you.
Lori, Vermeer, fiscal officer, please.
All right, as of today, our current cash balance is $6,786,883.59. We did receive the second settlement last week. It's a little over $5.2 million, but I don't have it broken out amongst the world yet. And there is a resolution approving that we ask Franklin County for a second amended certificate because we have to allow for the $2.5 million bond that we got so that we can appropriate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lori, thank you very much, man.
You ready?
Yeah.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks. There's 3 pages of resolutions, so sit back and relax. Move to accept the minutes of the regular April 19th, 2017 meeting as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'll just comment that I believe the minutes have improved. I think Lori's doing a fantastic job. They are very in-depth, and because of that, I haven't been able to read through all 7 sets of meeting minutes yet. So I will review them when I can and sign off at a later time.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Abstain.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
So we're going to have to reread that one?
I want to just clarify. You have read it and are okay with the April 19th because Trustee Piney was not here and he will not be able to sign those minutes.
Okay. I need time to read through all these minutes is what I'm saying.
So then my suggestion would be that, at least on this one, we may have to come back if you are not willing to approve them as they've been submitted.
Can we move it towards the end, and if that will work? Is it just this one particular one that is?
That he would not be able to sign. But I believe we've already voted on that.
We've already voted. So just bring it back next month.
Okay. All right. So if you can at least let us know when we come back, for sure. Okay.
Do you want me to skip all of these, or do you want to approve them all?
If the other 2 have read them, I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah, I read them yesterday.
Okay.
I move to accept the minutes of the special May 1st, 2017 meeting as presented.
A second? Second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to accept the minutes of the special May 3rd, 2017 meeting as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to accept the minutes of the special May 4th, 2017 meeting as presented.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to accept the minutes of the special May 16th, 2017 meeting as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to accept the minutes of the regular May 17th meeting, 2017 meeting as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to accept the minutes of the special June 4th, 2017 meeting as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to extend the timeline for Nathaniel DeLoss, Public Works, to obtain his CLD permit due to a lack of availability for instruction class till November 30th, 2017.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion?
What, is he able to drive smaller vehicles for snow clearance if we have snow prior to that?
Yes, that's not a problem.
Okay.
It's just the CDL.
Right.
Yeah, just, they lack testers right now, so way back there.
All right, thank you.
Can we get a second on that, sir?
You did already.
Okay. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve and submit application to OPWC Local Transportation Improvement Plan for capital improvements for various township roads per extended resolution Exhibit OPWC 2017.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to declare the August 16th, 2017 Fire Department list of 2 narcotic cabinets as surplus and designate to be sold to Bloom Township for $200 each.
Got a second? Okay, discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to declare Fire Department engine 1995 Pierce Saber VIN number 3027 as surplus.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to authorize Fire Chief to sign the continuing clinical affiliation agreement with Columbus State Community College. The contract runs from September 15th, 2017 to September 15th, 2019.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Goodine?
Yes.
Trustee Penny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve the reimbursement for firefighter Josh Rutch for course POW-1250-W01, State and Local Government, for his associate's degree for professional firefighter, starting autumn semester beginning August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Columbus State Community College upon successful completion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yeah.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve reimbursement for firefighter Michael Miller for course admin law/political science for 4200 for his undergraduate degree in fire administration starting autumn semester beginning August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Bowling Freeze State University. Is that right? I don't think that's right.
Should be Bowling Green.
That's what I thought. Never heard of Bowling Freeze.
They had a coupon.
I guess.
Yeah.
Upon successful completion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'll fix the next one.
Call the roll.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Hold on, fixing a couple of these. Okay.
I didn't even, well, none of us did. We've all looked at it.
We approved of that one. Okay, move to approve the reimbursement for firefighter Michael Miller for course Intro into Public Administration for his undergraduate degree for fire administration starting autumn semester beginning August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Bowling Green State University upon successful completion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve reimbursement for firefighter Michael Miller for course Fire Emergency Service Administration for his undergraduate degree in fire administration starting autumn semester beginning August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Bowling Green State University upon successful completion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve the college credit bank use by firefighter Rob Crow for course Fire 2005 for his associate's degree for professional firefighter starting August semester August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Columbus State Community College upon successful completion.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to approve college credit bank for use by firefighter Rob Crow for course Fire 1109 for his associate's degree for professional firefighter starting autumn semester August 23rd, 2017 to December 16th, 2017 through Columbus State Community College upon successful completion.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to reclassify Ben Danzig from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by fire chief pursuant to successful completion of the medical evaluation at a pay rate and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. These all have the same date. Can we not read the names and the resolution at one time, or no?
Some of them have medical evaluation.
I got you. Thank you.
Nice try, I appreciate it.
So is there any discussion?
That was it.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Penney?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to reclassify Nicholas Reese from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief at a pay rate per hour and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Hold on.
Say again.
He needs to have the pursuant to successful completion of medical evaluation inserted in his motion.
Is that for all of them?
No, just for Nick's.
Okay, thank you.
So I will add that as well.
Yeah, add that.
You want me to read it all again?
Yeah, please.
We can't do that, can we?
What, add it on
Should we
there?
table it, or we should amend it? Let's just amend the...
Well, we don't have a second, do we? I don't have a second down
No,
for that, so
no.
you can just add it to your,
He caught
to
us.
the end of the resolution.
Okay. So you just want to go ahead and continue it with a second? Because he has to have it, whatever he just said on
There's
his.
a motion on the floor.
There's a motion that, but has not been seconded.
So let's second it
So-
and amend it during discussion.
Or didn't you want to just keep reading to add that in there, or do you want it to be amended?
Well, the motion on the floor has got to do something.
I think what she's telling you is you aren't going to make it your
Current bargaining contract.
Oh.
A second.
Yeah, he hasn't,
You don't have a second?
No, I haven't got a second yet. Move it. Bob Stockton.
Failed. Did that motion fail due to a lack of second?
There you go. I'll read it all over again. Move to reclassify Nicholas Reese from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief pursuant to successful completion of a medical evaluation at a pay rate and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
No second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Are you sure the next one's good?
Yes.
Okay. Move to reclassify Kevin Miller from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief at a pay rate and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Good. Move to reclassify Greg Haynes from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief at a pay rate and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to reclassify Sean McGrath from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief pursuant to successful completion of a medical evaluation at a pay rate per hour and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to reclassify Colton Pinnell from part-time to full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 26, 2017, with shift assignment to be determined by the fire chief pursuant to successful completion of a medical evaluation at a pay rate per hour and benefits according to the current bargaining contract.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to authorize the fire chief to sign and submit an application for BWC firefighter exposure to environmental elements grant program with a township match of $3,000 maximum.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to authorize the administrator to sign the employee assistance program agreement renewal, which began July 1st, 2017, with no increase in cost and with additional services.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to approve the agreement for comprehensive continuing and cooperative transportation planning process between Madison Township and the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission and the Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Spiny. Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to approve and authorize the administrator to sign the cooperative agreement for community development block grant program between Madison Township and the Board of County Commissioners of Franklin County.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to approve the administrator to sign and enter into an agreement with Likens Energy Solutions under the current Canal Winchester Local School District's cooperative contract and its term effective August 1st, 2017 through July 31st, 2019.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
I move to accept the list of items for personnel files to be placed in the appropriate files.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to pay bills, sign all purchase orders, and approve the list of supplemental appropriations, super blanket certificates, and interfund transfers.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to accept the bank reconciliations and reports of the fiscal officer as the cash journal and bank balances agree through June 30th, 2017, showing a balance of $7,903,769.10.
You got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine.
Yes.
Trustee Spiny.
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner.
Yes.
Move to approve the list of 18 mowing and trash removal assessments totaling $3,300.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Have any of these, none of these have been mowed yet, is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
assessing them.
We're just approving the assessment.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you.
Discussion?
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to request an amended certificate from the Franklin County Auditor for $2.5 million in the Permanent Improvement Fund and approve supplemental appropriations for the same to be posted once the amended certificate is received.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
Move to recess for 5 minutes and resume an executive session at 8:25 PM.
Do I have a second?
Wait, hold on.
Excuse me, let me join.
I have
I
to,
apologize.
so how do you want to handle that? I need to say we're going first.
I will approve.
Oh, I got you.
So let's just,
Approve executive session before.
so we need to vote no on what I just said, and then I'll read the other, and then I'll reread it.
Okay.
So call it, yes, what you're going to call.
So. Call the roll, I'll just vote no.
Trustee Gilliland?
No.
Trustee Franny?
No.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
I move to approve police department executive session for the following purposes, considering the discipline of a public employee or official.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Now I move to recess for 5 minutes and resume an executive session at 8:25.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
8:25.
Okay. I move to adjourn, oh wait. Hold on. I was really excited about that. I move to close executive session and resume the meeting in open session at 9:30, noting that no action was taken during executive session.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Move to authorize the administrator to advertise the surplus fire engine 1995 Pierce Saber VIN number 3027 for 90 days to be awarded to the highest bid or offer over $10,500.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
I move to adjourn the meeting at 9:31 as there is no further business.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gilliland?
Yes.
Trustee Franny?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess we'll approve the minutes next time. The 19th.
For the
No, I thought, I was about to ask you if we didn't get
That's all
that.
right, we'll catch you next time.
Do any of you need or want another Canal Winchester calendar? They have those coupons at the bottom.
Do you guys have my POs someplace? Well, they don't take anybody.
Yeah, we threw them away.
They're on the table.
Okay, thank you.
That's something we did.
Oh, thank you very much.
You know Mark Kempton, right? The firefighter just retired?
Yeah.
Well, his wife just had a brain bleed.
Is that what's sticking around, guys?
Now she's,
Well, that- yeah,
not well.
that's-
I mean, not well, but I mean, she's
At some
opened
point,
up her eyes.
that's just a line.
Yeah.
So I would hang on to that and put it in a folder marked.
Good news,
with
I
that.
guess.
Yes.
Have it.
That's scary stuff.
When we go through the next step, so to speak, but yeah.
Roy, give me one of them calendars, please, right there.